Coming up on the debut episode of Premier Preps, we've got scores and highlights from the Sac-Joaquin Section basketball and soccer playoffs. Plus, I'll introduce you to Aubrey McClin of Davis, who hasn't let a rare affliction keep her off the pitch. You're tuned in to Premier Preps. Welcome to the debut episode of Premier Preps with me, Nick Pecoraro. Thank you so much for tuning in. We have big plans for this show in the upcoming weeks and months, so be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Premier Preps with Nick Pecoraro, so you can stay up to date on all the notifications and the upcoming happenings throughout the greater Sacramento area. We're going to start this week's show on the hardwood. We are in the thick of the Sac-Joaquin Section playoffs. And man, what a week it's been already. We're going to start in Carmichael, where the top-seeded Jesuit Marauders take on the 8th-seeded and upset-minded Burbank Titans. We kick things off with the Division II bracket, a quarterfinal matchup Friday between Burbank and Jesuit. Here we go. First quarter, the Marauders get off to a hot start. Cole Epperson to Kevin Hopt for the easy bucket. But the Titans came to play in the first. Check out Paris Clay with the tough left-handed finish, taking some contact along the way. But Jesuit had an answer. From the corner, it's Asher Schroeder. The big man can shoot. And we had a quick back-and-forth game early on as Burbank's Michael Butcher, don't mind if I do, all the way to the rack. But Big Red closes the first quarter with a bang as Kevin Hopt beats the buzzer. Hopt had 11 points and 3 triples in the first. Titans trying to get some momentum in the second. Frankie Brown, the fourth, gets 3 the hard way. But Jesuit's supporting cast was up to the task on Friday. Demi Kaufman launching from 3. But again, Michael Butcher responds. 3,500 Florin Road stand up. Butcher had 15 to lead the Titans. But back to Jesuit. Kevin Hopt with a skip and a jump pass to Demi Kaufman underneath. And then Hopt getting fancy with this finish. He led everyone with 22 on Friday, 18 of them in the first half. And then Ajani Lewis putting his defender on skates to close the first half with the Marauders up by 15. Third quarter, more Jesuit. Schroeder comes up with the loose ball and finds Nat Brown for a bucket. 9 points for Nat on Friday. And then Schroeder with the block on the other end. And Hopt just puts his hands in the air because he knows what's coming next. Cole Epperson with the exclamation point. The Marauders were cooking on all cylinders. Ajani Lewis buries another 3. Jesuit hit 10 as a team from downtown on Friday. And Jesuits headed back to the semis.
Everyone's playing their best, so you can't overlook anyone. You just gotta play harder again. Everyone was hitting shots, everyone was grabbing rebounds, everyone was contributing on the defensive end, and it was just a great game overall.
It's amazing. It feels great to just know my guys who got there and score and get stops and rebounds, so it was good just knowing I got help. All the way to sections and getting the dub, baby. Running it back.
Get that chip.
Running it back.
Well, congratulations to Jesuit for holding down home court and moving on to the section semis. Let's take a look at the rest of the boys' brackets here. In Division I, we have Modesto Christian taking on Inderkum in the semis for the second straight year, while Rockland hosts Lincoln of Stockton, who knocked off second-seeded Monterey Trail on Friday night. You just saw Jesuit, the Marauders, host Del Oro on Monday. These two had an instant classic in the football playoffs this year. I expect no less from these two on the hardwood, and another banger on the other side as Capital Christian hosts Vanden. The Sac High Dragons looking to repeat as D3 champs. They'll have to get past Central Catholic on Monday. And the 6th seed Christian Brothers tries to knock off West Park, which seeks its first section title appearance in school history. To D4 we go. Venture Academy looking to get back to the section finals for the second time in 3 years. Ripon seeks its first finals appearance since 2012. And you can expect the shootout in El Dorado County Tuesday night as Natomas takes on Union Mine. Ripon Christian looks to defend its D5 section title. The Knights will host Bradshaw Christian on Tuesday. And how about the Knights of Futures High School getting their first 2 playoff wins in school history? They'll take on Fortune Early College Prep, a section finalist from a year ago. And finally in D6, both finalists from last year still in the hunt. Valley Christian Academy hosts Forest Hill in the semis, while Sac Waldorf tries to knock off top-seeded Stone Ridge Christian for a date in the finals Friday at UC Davis. Well, the girls' hoops landscape has been just as impressive, and 2 teams that have showed out in particular are the 2 teams you're about to see. Marysville, the number 2 seed coming out of the Pioneer Valley League, and number 7, West Campus. The Warriors went 12-0 in the Greater Sacramento League, so they're game for a big matchup. Let's head out to Marysville. Well, we certainly picked the right game to come to on Thursday. The 2-7 matchup in the D4 quarterfinals, West Campus at Marysville. Here we go. First quarter, West Campus senior Leilani Edinburgh knifing her way through traffic for the tough finish. But Marysville has an answer in Demi Boykin, who's going to pull from the top of the key. Demi had 7 of Marysville's 9 first quarter points. But in the second, West Campus starts to get hot as Issa Otsuji stops and pops from the corner. She had 11 for the Warriors on Thursday. And then Edinburgh again splitting a pair as if she were at the blackjack table. But the Tribe keeping it tight as Crystal Briggs finds Maya McNeil underneath. But Leilani Edinburgh had the hot hand in the first half for the Dubs. She hit 1,000 career points earlier this season, but back and forth we go in the second. Kalia Henry strokes a 3 for Marysville, but again, it's Edinburgh right there. A good old-fashioned shootout in the second quarter. Edinburgh had 16 in the first half, but sophomore Abigail Peets closes the first half strong, but Marysville still down by 5 at the half. Third quarter, West Campus goes on a run. Issa Otsuji lets it fly, a big shot right there. And then Edinburgh connects amongst the tall trees to give West Campus a 10-point lead. But don't count Marysville out just yet. Demi Boykin finds her stroke again in the third. And this time, Boykin is dishing. Abigail Peets is swishing. And it's just a 3-point game heading to the fourth. But man, Edinburgh was just a warrior Thursday, taking some tumbles, playing through pain, and getting the and one finish. She does not want her senior season to end just yet, but the Tribe is still hanging around. Peets off the steal and finds Crystal Briggs. It's never too late for your first bucket, especially in the fourth quarter of a win-or-go-home game. And then Boykin missed the free throw, but gets her own rebound and buries a 3 to tie the game at 39 with 15 seconds to play. On the ensuing possession, Edinburgh draws a foul, and now the pressure's on to make her free throws. She gets 1 of 2, but that's all West Campus would need. 24 points for Edinburgh, and the Warriors move on to the semifinals.
Man, we worked the whole game. We fought hard, and I'm just really proud of them. Even though we had our down moments, we picked it back up, and we fought for what we got.
Well, all of the section semifinals are now set in all 6 divisions. Let's take a look at all of the remaining girls' brackets and what to expect this week. Defending champion Folsom gets a semifinal rematch against 4th-seeded McClatchy, while Oak Ridge heads to Stockton to take on St. Mary's and McDonald's All-American Jordan Lee. In Division 2, the Whitney Wildcats are looking to repeat. They'll have to get past a scrappy Grant Pacers team. And speaking of scrappy, the 6th-seeded Atwater Falcons' last section crown came in 1988. They'll face 2-time defending D3 champion Vanden. The Lincoln Fighting Zebras look to get back to Golden One Center for the 3rd straight year, but they have a tough task at top-seeded Vista del Lago. And the highest seed still standing in any bracket, 11th-seeded Will C. Wood of Vacaville takes on Manteca, whose last semifinal appearance was when I was still in high school. It's a section finals rematch in the D4 semis as top-seeded Colfax looks to take down Riverbank for a second straight year. And you just saw the West Campus Road Warriors. They'll try to keep it rolling at Escalon on Tuesday. In D5, 29 section titles hang inside the gyms of this Final Four. Bear River hosts Ripon Christian, and defending champion VCA heads to Woodland Christian looking for its first blue banner. And finally, in D6, top-seeded Faith Christian looks to go back-to-back. The Lions face Stone Ridge Christian seeking its first finals appearance, while Sac Adventist hosts Forest Hill. Finals for Divisions 1 through 3 will be played Wednesday at Golden One Center, and D4 through 6 will be Friday at UC Davis. Well, not only do we do game highlights here on Premier Preps, but we also like to shine a light on those with a unique story to tell. And this week's story features Aubrey McClin, a sophomore goalkeeper from Davis High School, whose switch of positions at a young age might have saved her life. The sky is the limit on the soccer pitch for Davis High School's Aubrey McClin.
Sky, last one.
The sophomore goalkeeper is a huge reason why Davis is one of the top teams in the Sac-Joaquin Section.
She's a player that is excited about soccer, plays a lot of soccer, puts herself in a lot of situations with various teams, levels, programs, and I think hopefully that, carries out to her teammates as far as just like her desire and willingness and her impact in the games.
She's kind, compassionate. She's someone that everyone would want as a best friend. As a player, a soccer player, she's spot on, like laser focus. When she gets on the field, she has a mission, a purpose, and she has goals, and you can just see it. She's very driven. But you can see during halftime that goofiness come out. She's like high-fiving or she's dancing in the goal.
Hey, highlight reel.
But there was a point in Aubrey's childhood where the prospect of life on the pitch didn't seem so sunny. Aubrey and her family didn't think much of her frequent illnesses as a child until she started showing more severe symptoms.
So she would get sick often as a kid, and we thought that was kind of normal. But then, during sports is when we noticed it the most. She was holding her body differently. She was starting to turn really red. She started to swell.
I started noticing that I started losing sensation in my legs in the games, and I started feeling like I couldn't be able to feel them, or I would have really bad nerve pain. And the way I would describe that is for me, it was like bee stings, a lot of bee stings all over my legs. I also wasn't able to sweat anymore, no sweat was coming off my body. And then one of the obvious symptoms was that I was starting to faint.
So that was the biggest red flag. So we immediately took her into the doctor to get some answers.
So at first I was diagnosed with general dysautonomia, and then I later got diagnosed with POTS dysautonomia, which stands for postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. And at first I was kind of relieved because I finally knew what was happening to me, but then also I got really sad and scared because I was only 6 years old when I got diagnosed, and so it was a really big and scary word for a 6-year-old.
For a year and a half to 2 years, we were in medical offices, appointments. We finally got the diagnosis, so we kind of felt a sense of relief. And Aubrey was on her little handheld Game Boy device, and when they said she couldn't play sports anymore, in particular soccer, because of the running and the endurance that was needed, we heard this, no, that's not going to happen.
When I really heard the doctors say that I couldn't play, I was oh no, that's not okay.
I looked at her, the doctor looked at her, and we're what? And she's I'm not giving up sports. That's not something you're going to take away from me.
We had a couple more doctor's appointments trying to figure out what I could do. And then we finally came up with the idea and agreement with my doctors that I could play goalie. And they got me on medication to help me so that I could play, and one of those was one that would help me sweat so that I have a good way to cool down my body so that I don't overheat and start to faint and head towards more symptoms and lose that sensation in my legs.
So you need medication to help your body sweat.
Yeah.
The switch to goalie not only made the save on Aubrey's soccer career, but more importantly, it saved her mental well-being.
We caught Aubrey's condition really early on, got the treatment, got a team of people willing to work with us, and she's very fortunate. But her life would be very different if she didn't have soccer.
I call the soccer field my sanctuary. and that is the place where I can really escape from like all the outside stuff and just like where I can really zone in and just like all I think about is soccer when I touch that field. So I think that's like really a key thing for me, and just like when I'm on that field, I'm not thinking about anything else.
Even as a sophomore in high school, Aubrey is not so naive to not see the bigger picture. She also wants to help others in her situation find their sanctuary.
I wanted to like help people get that earlier diagnosis because I was so lucky to have that support and that great circle of support to like get this earlier diagnosis. So I want to help others get that earlier diagnosis.
She is my hero. Like, I don't know many kids that would do what she did or the sacrifices she had to make to continue to play her sport. She didn't really have much of a childhood. Now she's making up for it now. Like, she's in a really good place and she gets to travel with all of her sports. And so I'm just really proud that she gets to do that and she has that drive.
Whether it's a shot attempt on goal or just the chance to live life to the fullest, nothing is getting past Aubrey McClin.
She found something within herself, a voice, and she's doing incredible things with it.
From Davis, I'm Nick Pecoraro, and you're watching Premier Preps. Well, thank you so much to Aubrey McClin, her mom Julie, and Coach Stone for sharing this story with us. Aubrey is indeed excelling on the soccer pitch. If you'd like to follow her on social media, here is where to do so. You should check out her Linktree and some of her motivational blogs that she's been doing to try to help others. She's been doing some great things in the community. And indeed, on the soccer pitch, too, she's helping Davis push forward into the section playoffs and into the section finals for the first time since 2019. Aubrey and the Blue Devils will take on 5th-seeded Del Oro, playing up at D1 after a Division II championship last year. That game is Saturday at 4. In D2, St. Francis in the finals for the second straight year. The Trubies will take on number 7 Granite Bay, who knocked off Rockland in PKs in the semis. That game is Saturday at noon. To Division III, Rio Americano looks for championship number 7, while Oakdale goes for its first in school history. That game happening Thursday at 5 o'clock. In D4, Colfax looks for a Section 3-peat after winning 2 straight at the D5 level. The Falcons take on Placer, which is the defending Division 4 champ. A tremendous Placer County rivalry rekindles Tuesday at 5 o'clock. And 2 champs were crowned this past Saturday. Congratulations to the 4th-seeded Hillmar Yellow Jackets, who defeated the Argonaut Mustangs, the 6th seed, to win their first section crown since 2008. Also on Saturday in Division 6, Ripon Christian proved to be the superior Knights by taking down defending champion Stone Ridge Christian and winning its first blue banner since 2015. All of this coming week's section championship games will be played at Cosumnes River College in Elk Grove. Well, let's stay on the pitch, shall we? It's been a bar-raising season for the West Park boys soccer team. The Panthers won their first ever playoff game in the opening round of the D2 bracket against Weston Ranch, but on Tuesday, they were trying to knock off the top seed Del Oro, which is in search of its first section crown since 1998. That's right, the Tuesday night Division II quarterfinals, 9th-seeded West Park trying to knock off top-seeded Del Oro in Loomis. Here we go. West Park had some opportunities in the first half, none better than this corner kick. Brenner Saraiva to Javier Morales, whose header bounces off the crossbar. The entire West Park side of the stadium thought it was in, but the official says play on. Later in the first half, the Panthers on the prowl again, but the attack is snuffed out by Del Oro goalie James Tibbetts. Now, the West Park goalie had a busy first half as well. The freshman, Jack McAvoy, was up to the task. Here's a shot from point-blank range, but McAvoy is all over it. Later, on a DO penalty kick, McAvoy says, "You shall not pass!" A tremendous stop by the freshman. It's cleared from danger, and his Panther teammates are fired up. DO on the hunt again, but it's young J-A-C-K, a.k.a. the wall of B-R-I-C-K, and he helps keep the game scoreless at the half. But just a few minutes into the second half, DO capitalizes. Damian Valeriano Perez, DVP with his first goal of the playoffs. The assist from Beckham Pointer, and the Golden Eagles lead 1-0. Pointer now shooting his shot. He's Del Oro's leading scorer, but West Park's Evan McKendry plays that one cleanly to keep it a one-score game. But in the 29th minute of the second half, Eli Peters with the good feed to Logan Webster for the good deed. That's his first playoff goal this season, the 11th overall, and it's the dagger that pushes top-seeded Del Oro past West Park and into the Division II semis. Well, some section champions have already been crowned this weekend. Let's take a look at the remainder of the section boys playoff brackets on the pitch. We have 4 section championship games scheduled throughout the week, all games taking place at Cosumnes River College in Elk Grove. In the D1 bracket, Jesuit looks to hang a record 15th section banner, while 7th-seeded McClatchy looks for its first Saturday at 6. In D2, you just saw Del Oro. They pushed past Granite Bay in the semis, and the Golden Eagles will take on Golden Valley, who looks to hang back-to-back blue banners Saturday at 2. In D3, the top-seeded Valley Vikings seek their first section crown, while 7th-seeded Pacheco tries to keep its Cinderella run going Thursday at 7. The D4 final features 3rd-seeded Natomas taking on top-seeded Galt and the nation's leading goal scorer in Miguel Garcia. The Warriors look to finish the season unbeaten Tuesday at 7 p.m. And as I said before, champions have been crowned in D5 and D6. Congratulations to Somerville, who beat Delhi for its 3rd section title, its first since going back-to-back in 2014 and 15. Esparto defeated Millennium in its first ever section finals appearance. Congratulations to the Spartans. We look forward to seeing who brings home more blue banners later this week. Well, that's going to wrap up our first episode of Premier Preps. Thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you for subscribing. If you haven't done so already, be sure to do that so you can stay up to date on everything going down. Again, we have big plans and some big shows coming up in the coming weeks. Next week's show is going to be even bigger, as I'll have section championship highlights for both basketball and soccer, including games from the Golden One Center in Sacramento. So until then, I'm Nick Pecoraro. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.